During my early years of investigating paranormal activity at Bachelors Grove Cemetery, so that'd be around 1996, 2000 range. Um, Now that you've been watching some of these videos I've been putting out, I talk about the whole use the meditation method, just put some thoughts out, see what you get back. Um, Back when I was discovering that something was taking place, um, I had a lot of questions about the so-called balls of light or orbs, that kind of thing. And sometimes you would see these things with your eyes, right? Some people would see these things, and or maybe you get it on video, not like the still photograph stuff, which is arguably this, that, the other thing. But when you get it on video and watch the motion of it, it raises a lot of questions. And during that time period, that's when a lot of the ghost shows were coming out or something, right? And you got that Sony night shot effect, the whole green look with the low lux infrared sensitivity kind of thing going on. I thought, I know it's not entertaining, but it would be nice if they would just turn off those infrared emitters. Yeah, you'll get a dark room, but it's kind of like Orbs 101. Like, are they really emanating their own light? Or is a certain spectrum of light necessary to reflect or mix in, whatever you want to call it, in order to see these balls? And so back before, yeah, pretty much before the website started, I ran into some folks. And then around the time the website did launch, they obtained a permit to be back here to do a documentary. Now, nothing really came about with this documentary, nothing that aired in the United States anyway. But I got pretty excited, hey, it's going to be my my first real time back here at night, and under permit, there'd be a cop nearby, the whole drill, you're safe to go. I thought, man, I really need one of these low lux cameras, so I went out and I bought a Sony. It's an old analog 8mm style, high 8 stuff. And so back then, though, the meditation thing seemed to show some results in my life in general. So right before the actual investigation, that's where I think this is kind of important, why I want to do this video actually. I needed to put context onto something that's been floating around for quite a number of years. It's a video called The Tree Light. And yeah, so you view it and you see all this darkness, and there's a little funny light at the top doing something, and somebody had a camera flash go off or whatnot, and maybe that rings a bell for you. But I think the backstory does have some relevance when you're investigating these things. So here's what happened. I bought the camera probably the day before or whatever it was, and hurried up, got here, tested it out, to get used to the camera. Nighttime comes, we're out here, but before the actual event had taken place, I put out a meditation. I said, look, if we can get a ball of light on film, on video, that would be great, but I want to learn the science behind this, if you're real. I don't know how you're going to do it. Back then I was more vague on my meditations. I said, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I'll just pick a field of view at the cemetery that would be unlikely to have any interference. Even though there's going to be people out there, the interference I'm thinking of is cars, airplanes, that sort of thing. And so, of all days, it was Friday, October the 13th, 2000. So, classic night. Actually, there's little tidbits of this that happened on Coast to Coast AM on their webpage, but it's kind of irrelevant. But anyway, so I set up the camera, and everything seems to be going well that night. And then I discovered what most people discover when they get permits out here. People visiting at night don't know you're in there, so you'll get interrupted. And sure enough, we started hearing some noise coming from the creek trail area off to the southwest, and everybody was looking for the police officer. Of course, the officer was down by the cell towers, so nobody really wanted to go. I guess nobody wanted to leave the cemetery, but they're all kind of concerned. So everybody flocked to the more northeast end of the cemetery. and they're all facing the noise of the people coming in. And I decided, well, nobody's going to get this cop. It seems like it's going to be an issue, and I guess I'll just volunteer to be the one to do it. Now, around that time, before I left, I got this thing in my head that, oh man, the light's going to show up. I was pretty convinced, like, that it's going to show. And I got really upset. I'm like, man, should I leave? I'm like, oh, well, the camera's recording. It's not a big deal. As long as I get the shot, I get the shot. Maybe I'll learn something. And so the camera is running. It doesn't have the infrared emitters. Now everybody's off to the side. Everybody's told to halt production and whatnot. So I remember this moment too, because when I played back the video when I got home, you can hear me walking away on the rocks as I'm leaving the cemetery, and then the people come in very short after that. I remember when I was walking out, I could see some shadows walking down the trail, so they were getting pretty much near the cemetery. Let me pause for the plane. All right. So yeah, I see some people, and I'm walking away, and I thought, well, man, if it comes, it comes. Hopefully, we'll get the shot. And I remember thinking on those meditations, like, if you could pick an opportunity when everybody would be looking at the light that you might be able to make a presence with, that would be great. One of the things that I wanted to understand was it necessary to emit light to see you if you're not emitting your own light? And what would the reaction be like if such things as a 35mm camera flash would go off? We used a lot of that back then. And so, I'm probably playing this video for you right now, just kind of a little bit of a loop. Boy, perfect kind of scenario in my opinion. This is an older, lower resolution type of video. It's not like what we have today, but I guess for scientific purposes, it worked out. So we do have that black background. We do have this light showing up where everybody happens to be facing. At the time, those people, or at least one of those people, had walked in and was asking questions and had realized, oh, you are a documentary kind of thing. So you'll hear that in the audio. Now, some people that have seen this, such as Dale Kazmarek from the Ghost Research Society, I talked to him even on site about it at one point here at the cemetery, and he's like, well, that could be cars. Well, it can't be cars. There's a couple reasons for that, and I'll show a demonstration. The horizon of where the road is, number one, it's much higher than that. Plus, there's a kind of a hill, kind of a terrain thing that messes up with anything with headlights. Plus, all headlights are going to be running in a north-south pattern, and this is facing west. So the light would be much higher, and some people that I told later on that was doing the documentary, at least who I was connected with it, how I got out here, I said, looks like we got something. Of course, they didn't believe it. They're just like, whatever, dude, that's an airplane. Yeah, but let's take a look at this thing. So it's coming in. Pause this. As it first comes in, it's just a little flicker. It's kind of a big flicker. When I filmed airplane lights, I never got anything like this. I did it on purpose. There are more spots, even if you get on the flight pattern with the spotlights they got on. It has a different bit of a view. And that's not a typical flight pattern for around here anyway, with O'Hare Airport Midway. It's just, anyway. So when you look at this thing, it goes up, right? It starts kind of traveling up. It's where somebody kind of broke protocol during the halt production thing, and then they fired off a camera, and you see the flash. Because some people think, well, maybe there was somebody in the dark just, with a light, and they were doing something funny. Well, you'll see as the camera goes off, nobody's standing there, nobody's holding a 20, 30 foot tall pole with a light on it, that kind of thing. What's fun is that it's right when he actually fires the camera and the flash goes off, and you see this reaction from the light. It almost seems like just a response mechanism. Wow, it's bright. Anyway, so I'll loop this a little bit. I'll even do a little overlay of the camera flash. I'll just freeze it, give it just a little opacity, just a little bit of overlay in the video, so you can get an idea of where the light is the whole time in relation to the trees. At the time, even during that time of year, we still had a lot of leaves on the trees. Even right now, it's getting into October, and we still got a lot of leaves. There's no color change. So certain years are like that. Now these days, there's some branches missing, some things had fallen, so it's nowhere near what it used to look like. But I do remember testing it, and the density was pretty good. We should not have been seeing any lights, even if there happened to be an airplane. So I'll leave it up to you. I think the background is important, and maybe you'll learn some things from this. It's not necessary to emit light to see that they're emanating light. I consider this kind of even a like a non-speculative kind of video. But I guess, again, I'll have to leave that for you to decide. The only thing I speculate on, that I would like to speculate on is, pause, there's going to be some noise. The only thing I would like to speculate on was, one of my theories at the time, and still is that if it is emanating its own light, what could be doing it? And there's a whole bunch of stuff in my head. If you want to stick with something basic, if you were to have an object that was generating, oh, the noise is back. If you had an object that was generating heat, it could emit into that part of the spectrum and beyond. But the whole thermal energy, you look at some of the thermal cameras, and then you get a better view of that. But even on some basic cameras where you allow more infrared light in, that sliver of the spectrum should be more noticeable and be possible with a heated object. So, pause again. Always got the planes. So, is this thing, do they have a heat signature? And if so, does that sound like dead people to you? Later on, somewhere down the road, I will discuss some of the testing, some of the thought stuff I put out on using this heat signature to do certain things. And yeah, anyway, enjoy it. I know this is kind of a long video, and for those of you who are looking to be entertained, this is not for entertainment. This is so that if people have questions on certain things, maybe they can reflect on some of this material as well in their investigation. So, adios and take care.
We just saw you get the first one. That's
Oh my God.
now I know you're a documentary.
Yeah.